Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, welcome everybody. I hope you all had a great Christmas, great New Year's. Hopefully, things are going well for everybody. For those who are new, I'm Josh, also Cujo. We got Alex, Dan, and Dave. Um, just in case you don't know who we are the FPV Freedom Coalition, and it's been kind of quiet. We were hoping and halfway expecting some new uh, phantom drops from the FAA, specifically related to CBOs, but we haven't seen those yet.
Yeah,
So
their history suggests they really like to drop things that last day of the year. But
yeah,
no
in the golden
surprises
hour.
this
So
this past year, at least not that we noticed. Maybe there's still something hidden, but you did check out
yeah,
the Federal Register, right? And nothing popped up for you.
no,
I didn't get any
nothing.
notifications.
Yeah, nothing's catching my attention there. So,
So I guess that just
real,
means the CBO stuff is even later than
well,
originally planned.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're late, why not a little later? I mean, that might be the thought process.
Mhm.
But a little bit of a shameless plug. So we've got new shirts. If you haven't been to the shop to check them out, I've got the race or the freestyle one that's important right now. These
Oh,
were
good
designed in.
coordination. I have the racing shirt on.
There you go. So these
Mine
were
is as
designed
well.
These were designed in coordination with Miss Creature. She did an excellent job. Great to work with, and really appreciate her help with getting us some new swag. So please feel free to check them out. They're pretty reasonably priced. Really good quality shirt, really soft. So, but not a whole lot jumping in the news cycle, but I do want to touch on a couple things. Oh, we lost Dave. Hopefully, he'll jump back in. But first is an article that I found on. Copy and paste this, and I will share my screen. Let's see. Make sure I'm grabbing the right thing here. All right. So
She looks like a
this is an
competent
art.
drone pilot.
Hey,
She's
a
doing
little
good.
cello. Why
I'd
not?
let younger fly.
She's
Absolutely.
looking great. And at
So
least
this is
she's
from Scott
indoors, so
Buell.
it's okay.
Yeah, for sure. So this is from Scott Buell. He's the chairman and CEO at Dynamic Learning Experiences, and the article's titled "Are Drones in the Classroom Safe?" And he goes through kind of the timeline of recreational drones starting in 2014. Obviously, we date a little further back than that, but that's I think I got started about 2016. So, but he goes through that and he goes over some drone regulations, both in the United States, the EU, South Africa, Australia. Um, so, I don't want to, rehammer those, but one of the cool things he goes through is um, the reason he goes through the regulations is because oftentimes, as we already know, there's a lot of regulations and red tape that kind of are an inhibiting force in getting into drones. But a couple of the things he goes through and why he feels that drones make great analogs for education breaks down into a couple different areas, and a lot of these we've talked through before. But he goes through science, and he says drones are being used every day worldwide to support the cause of science, like the ones being used to monitor rivers or perform geoscientific research. For kids, the physics behind drones is a powerful science learning opportunity. Physical science at every level is on display as kids observe the way drones are operated and how they adhere to the laws of nature. Um, a more obvious one would be technology and drones. Kids will get to see the relevance of drones and the future of technology every day as drones are used to manage farms, deliver packages, in search and rescue missions, for firefighting, and even for monitoring traffic. Interacting with sophisticated technology that comes with a reference guide in the form of our operational manual is a great way to introduce kids to new kinds of tech. And one of the cool things about drones is the technology is ever evolving, right? And I'll go through a couple examples of that in some other articles here. But engineering in drones. Drones are engineered machines. They are built using an engineering design process and contain mechanisms that perform different functions. Everything about a drone is an illustration of a foundational engineering concept, and the process of planning and executing missions supports valuable critical thinking skills and problem solving skills. And then going through art, um, drones got their popular start in videography, and art is an essential component of a comprehensive STEM education. We've seen some drone legends go on to create videography businesses using drones to create and edit movies. Aerial drone photography and videography is a growing field, and one that offers learners of all ages an opportunity to express themselves. And even beyond this, I would cite stuff like drone shows as a form of art as well. Um, so, um, just a really great add-in for art and drones. Math and drones. Drones make math fun, and that includes math of all kinds: geometry, numbers, algebra, you name it. Calculations are an inherent part of making a drone function. This is a great opportunity to get even the kids who don't like math in on the fun, because they need to flex those computational abilities to get the drone off the ground. So, really cool article. He goes on to how drones can be used in classrooms. Can drones be flown over schools? What are the risks? But just a really neat breakdown of STEAM, which is kind of the add-in of art into the STEM program, which I fully support. So,
And this is a good mention, a good place to plug the work that Alex does with GATA, as well as the AAAC work that that Alex and I and Vic Moss are involved in, along with Josh Bixler and a couple other folks on K through 12 aviation STEM integration, and that will be we're wrapping up that report, and that will be presented on February 23 at the next AAAC meeting, formerly the DAC, Drone Advisory Committee.
yeah.
So how long do we have to keep calling it the formerly known as DAC? Or has everybody caught up and
the
Probably
artist,
about 3 years.
yeah,
3 years?
The artist previously called.
Yeah.
All right. So here's a
Josh,
really
quick question about
yeah.
the article. Do they mention Task Group 12 at all? Do you know?
No, they don't. I think this
Okay.
gentleman runs a program called Drone Legends, and I think
Okay.
it is kind of a it might be like an introduction to utilizing drones in schools, kind of a program. It'd be interesting to see if he's involved in it. I'm not sure, but
I don't recognize the name, so I don't think so.
maybe it's somebody with some relevance that we could reach out to.
Absolutely. What we found is just literally hundreds of individual STEM programs, and that's certainly one of the tenets. Is that the possibility of linking together or communicating what's available to individual states as well as individual school districts, and all these points that are made here, that making math and science fun, as well as integrating things about drones into the social sciences or soft sciences as well, because as a geek engineer, we know that we need to be able to communicate with other people. So lots of good possibilities.
Absolutely. All right. So next we've got Skydio makes a move on filmmakers with keyframe autonomous drone cinematography, and this is really cool, especially for me as somebody who has come from a background in 3D animation, 2D animation, keyframes. I mean, even if you're using things like After Effects or anything like that, keyframe animation is really not a new concept, but definitely a cool concept to add to drones. So Skydio has rolled out this feature with their Skydio 2 Plus drone, and it allows drone users to design and capture smooth, complex cinematic shots with just a few taps. Skydio's drones are all about autonomy with phenomenal obstacle avoidance, tracking ability. Skydio 2 has a legion of consumer fans. But basically, the way this works is you go through your flight, or you pre-plan a flight, and there's a little video here that I'll play while I'm talking. But you go through, you fly your drone, you set up individual shots, and then you basically tell the drone to execute the keyframe flight plan, basically. So you're setting up individual shots, and the drone is filling in the spaces. The software in the drone is filling in the spaces in between the keyframes. So you can see they're setting up the keyframes right now. A couple different shots, and then go ahead and pause that, and then I'll play this, and you'll kind of see how those keyframes link together to create one smooth shot. So I thought this was really cool as a way to kind of pre-plan your shots and be able to execute it almost relatively hands-off. So obviously, for in this case, for a real estate ad, but if you're used to that in animation or in software-based stuff, it makes a whole lot of sense.
So not too far from now, the director will just have its own drone and tell it where to go, and there will be no drone pilot. Is that what we're showing here?
I mean, that could be, relatively in the near future, and that's a great thing for things like cinematography. I mean, especially when you're going through and everybody's seen the behind the scenes on movies and stuff like that, and where they're setting up the camera and how many times they rehearse that in order to make that one shot, pan through the scenery, especially of like an action shot or something like that. This, I mean, obviously makes it a lot easier and repeatable, which is a cool kind of tech. So, we've seen a lot of recent uses in movies with FPV drones. And I'm not saying that this knocks that out of the water by any stretch, because I think FPV drones bring a lot to the table. I think it was that Ryan Reynolds movie that recently Red Notice. Thank you. And it's funny because after we talked about it, I went and watched it. You could definitely see those FPV scenes, and they were really cool.
They were great.
But
another movie that's coming out soon with Ambulance.
Oh, really?
I think that's a Michael Bay film too.
Oh,
it's a Michael Bay film with FPV
hey, drones,
in it.
FPV, and
Ambulance.
explosions.
All over the trailer. It's really cool.
So, but this is a really cool tech.
One is FPV, and two is highly automated aircraft, like Skydio is getting to be, and certainly that's the direction of their companies, to become more and more automated. I'm optimistic that we'll see a requirement for remote pilots to pilot these things on sets, and as proportionate with whatever risk is there. And while I'm sounding like the drone police, it's also to me a prudent safety factor to have someone on hand to be able to understand and manage the drone when it's in the air.
Absolutely. So, yeah, it's, I've not had any hands-on experience to go to one comment we've got. Curious what its limits on agility are. I've not had any hands-on experience with the Skydio drone. I know they're not meant to be, speed machines, but at the same time, I think they're fairly quick, fairly agile. But it's just really interesting in terms of being able to snag a unique shot and letting the software kind of assist you in doing that. I believe Skydio is using NVIDIA AI tech.
I was just going to say, so they've got a GPU powering that thing. So yeah, they've got a good amount of horsepower driving the onboard flight controller. as well as lots of radios.
And absolutely a ton of inputs in terms of obstacle avoidance and whatnot. I think there's like 5 or 6 cameras on these things, all in different locations, out on the arms and underneath and on top, that are there just for obstacle avoidance and detect and avoid and that kind of stuff. So pretty interesting tech. So let's see. Ooh, there we go. Ambulance official trailer. All right. So next up is the Firefly drone. And it's kind of a misnomer here because this thing is called a Firefly, but it can lift up to 100 pounds for 2 hours. So it's a heavy lift drone, developed by a California-based startup, Parallel Flight Technology, in partnership with NASA. It is both electric and internal combustion engine powered. It weighs 120 pounds itself, measures 3 feet in height, and has a 5-foot wingspan. Its propellers are 40 inches long, and it's equipped with a 60-volt, 5,000 milliamp hour battery. It's a hybrid technology that combines internal combustion engines with electric motors. Depending on the payload, it can stay up into the air for up to 7 hours with an auxiliary fuel tank. It boasts a 2-hour flight time when carrying a payload of 100 pounds, which Parallel Flight Technology claims is 10 times longer than any existing solution. When it only has to carry 40 pounds, it can fly for 4 hours, and a payload of just 10 pounds, it can increase to 7 hours.
I was going to say they must have taken that Firefly name from the TV show, but I don't know, the design isn't quite right. It's a little bit.
So let's pull up some pictures here.
I believe they had spaceships in that were cargo carriers that were similar.
Yeah, it might be. I haven't watched Firefly in a long time, so. But definitely a unique looking.
Like an old movie.
It's an old TV show.
It was a TV show that
TV.
got a cult following and then
Even
got canceled.
Older then.
Got canceled after what, 10 episodes, something like that.
Oh. Yeah.
But it's really good. So anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. They're calling it the pickup truck of the sky. So there you go. We got.
So it can drop lots of nasty things on people. Great. Just what we need. I don't know if any of you have watched XJet's latest rant about dropping explosives from drones, but
yes, I saw lots of those articles.
What were you gonna say, Alex?
Dominating the news cycle.
130 drones with one operator really means nothing because drone light shows have been doing that for the longest time already.
So drone light shows are essentially pre-programmed, if I'm not mistaken, pre-programmed execution, right?
You can modify them mid-show.
So
they are pre-programmed, but you can modify them and do other stuff mid-show. It's not much different.
Gotcha. So this one, this is coming out of Raytheon. They have shown off their latest offering on the ability to control hundreds of drones in a swarm by a single operator. So they're using, not going to go through the entire article, but basically they're using off-the-shelf parts for the drones, and then modified software, or custom software, I should say, to be able to control all of them at once.
What do they mean by control all of them at once? Like, you don't have just a radio and you're flying, telling them exactly where to go, do you? Or you're controlling a swarm and giving it direction?
You're controlling an entire swarm, yeah. So basically what's happening, and I could read it or I could kind of break it down, but going through the breakdown, essentially you're telling the swarm where to go, and the drone, the swarm itself is communicating within the swarm of where each individual one is. But they're all kind of co-locating onto the same, target point, essentially.
Can somebody explain why you would want to have a swarm of drones?
So there's two reasons. One would be for combat basis. So if you're trying to oversaturate and create devastation, a drone swarm would be the way to go. Second is Raytheon also develops anti-drone swarm technology. So I would say.
So one way to take out a drone swarm is to send another drone swarm at it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what you can do.
So those would be the military applications for sure are gonna be the abundance.
Somebody at Raytheon was playing too much StarCraft and the Zerg characters.
Zerg swarm. That's hilarious. So basically, it does not use high-end computing devices or sensors, but relies on commercial off-the-shelf hardware, which is inexpensive, and combined it with custom-built software to deliver swarm autonomy. They built a broad library of simple tactic building blocks that could be used to create plans and then accomplish mission objectives. To improve interactions between human operator and the drone swarms, Raytheon has created a virtual reality interface that taps into the drone feeds to create an interactive virtual environment during the mission. It also uses a speech interface, which the operator can act quickly during the mission, even as they control multiple systems at once. So, pretty interesting.
Using a speech interface? So you can just yell at the drones?
Be like, turn to the left!
Speech interface, that is interesting.
Or do they mean like speakers?
And yet another aviation company that shows up a lot, and any young individuals interested in getting into aviation, Raytheon does some very cool military work.
All right, so this is also coming from Drone DJ. Drones help fix outages after Virginia winter storm leaves thousands without power. So this is more in your neck of the woods, Dave and Alex, but
I think that's more mine.
It's been 4 days since a winter storm pounded Virginia with up to 11 inches of snow and left tens of thousands of residents without power. Crews at utility Dominion Energy have been working tirelessly ever since to ensure a swift response to the outages. But with heavy wet snow knocking down trees and making some areas especially inaccessible by road, drones have played a critical role in giving linemen a head start to understand what they're dealing with. So what they did is they, instead of walking the lines or driving the lines, due to basically, tree falls or traffic or anything like that would prevent the crews from getting to the lines physically, they were able to pop the drones up, overhead, get past all of that, and then direct crews, inspect the lines from the air, and then get crews exactly where they're needed to get power back up as quickly as possible. So pretty cool use of drones in terms of inspection and repair. So it says some of the rights of ways we've seen with this storm, crews wouldn't have been able to walk down it and get access to the facilities until tree crews got in and got the trees out of the way. The drone, meanwhile, can navigate over top all of it. So pretty cool that we were able to do that. They. I didn't do it. So this is coming from the Drone Girl, 2022 New Year's resolutions for drone pilots. So this is a pretty neat little article on things to do to kind of push your limits and expand yourself as a drone pilot. But number one is get licensed or certified as a drone pilot. So it says, while the FAA requires that everyone operating a drone in the U.S. weighing 249 grams or more must be certified or licensed, the reality is that anyone can buy a drone from their local electronics store and start flying it. Getting your remote pilot certificate under Part 107 or passing the FAA recreational drone test is a step in adding legitimacy to the drone industry and, more importantly, ensuring you know your stuff. So obviously, if you're flying drones for business reasons, you need to get your Part 107. If you're flying for fun, take the trust. Very quick test. She says 30 to 60 minutes. It's much shorter than that. Try drone racing, Alex. This is your field. So
with the DJI
we're trying to push
FPV
Dave.
drone.
I know, right? Well, I think that might be referencing the one above.
Well, no, it says, in fact, DJI made an FPV drone racing more available to the masses. No, they didn't.
No, you're not gonna race that.
Well, maybe once.
I thought I saw Minchin racing one.
Okay. Yeah, but he didn't put it in an actual race. He did it in practice. No, I've never seen anyone show up to a race yet with one of them.
Do it, Alex. Be the one.
Only if you guys pay for the repairs.
You would have to be so slow and careful. It would just be ridiculous.
You got to get some more aggressive props on that thing.
Hey, if you guys pay for the repairs, I will do it.
So, but definitely something to push. We're trying to get Dave to try drone racing too. So we think he can hit some gates.
That's it. I can hit a gate just as hard as anybody else.
By hit, I mean go through.
I made it through like 3 gates and then started to freestyle and gave up on the racing.
Oh, there you go.
Come on. Racing's more fun.
It just didn't hold my attention. Sorry.
Some people need the creative, some people need the adrenaline.
I'm more the, oh, squirrel, look, what's that? Oh, a tree, cool.
It's called next gate. How many seconds can I take off? What line can I take? What's the best line? All of that at once.
There you go. Like I said, some people like that. Some people like the creative. That's the cool thing with drones. You can do.
Who's that in front of me? Pass them.
So it says work on your media pitch for your business or your personal brand. So obviously, if you're wanting to get into the social media aspect of drones, obviously, people like Drew or Steele or Joshua Bardwell, they all have a brand. So if that's the route you want to take, or even we have a brand, right? So working on building that, and I think that's a great goal for us that I think we need to go into 2022 with is to build ourselves. We've grown a little bit every year, and hopefully we can grow even more this year. Do something creative or inventive. Do something that reinvigorates your love for drones. Try a new way to creatively incorporate drones in your life. Let's see. This guide to making a drone racing business card is delightfully hilarious example of that. Learn a new drone adjacent skill, like programming or
lots of people
printing.
end up in 3D printers.
Yep, got one right back over there. I love my 3D printer. Or even could be even electronics design. If you want to build your own board.
And once you get a 3D printer, you gotta do 3D CAD design, and then once you know CAD design, you can build your own frames.
There you go. Alex has got a new frame design he's working on.
If freestyle is way too exciting, then you can get your ham radio license, you can get your general license and start talking to people of my vintage around the world. It's really exciting stuff. CQ.
That's hilarious. All right, so definitely some interesting goals there. All right, we're gonna wrap up with a Drones for Good article, just because we always love seeing these. But a drone helps save a cardiac arrest patient in Sweden.
I have heard of this one.
Yeah, this was pretty cool. So, autonomous drone has helped save the life of a 71-year-old man who was suffering from a cardiac arrest. The drone delivered a defibrillator to a doctor, helping the man who became ill while shoveling snow outside his house in Trollhättan, Sweden. Hopefully I said that correctly. Apologize to any Swedish people who I might offend. The man who didn't wish to be named told the BBC it was fantastic that it arrived so quickly. The company behind the drone says it meant that the defibrillation could begin before the arrival of an ambulance. Everett Drone says it took over 3 minutes from the alarm being raised until the automated external defibrillator was delivered. So basically, this doctor was passing by as this guy was having a heart attack, stopped to help, um, called 112, which is the Swedish 911. And a drone was dispatched with the AED defibrillator, and the doctor was able to utilize it before the ambulance even arrived to help stabilize the patient. So this is a really cool thing. They have dispatched to 12 out of 14 cases of suspected cardiac arrest and successfully delivered an AED in all but one. In 7 cases, the drones arrived before the ambulances. In the December incident, it was fortunate that a doctor was nearby, but questions remain about whether members of the public without medical training would know what to do with a defibrillator. I've seen one of these. They have instructions in them, but one of the case that they make here is that they are designed for an untrained person to use, and oftentimes you'll be on the line with the emergency services that can walk you through how to use it if you can't read, the simple. Most of them have very simple diagrams on where to place the pads and how to charge it and how to turn it on. A lot of public businesses have these now. So pretty cool tech. Pretty cool that they were able to help this gentleman pass his medical condition. So pretty cool thing. It says time is very much of the essence. The chances of survival decrease by 7 to 10% with each minute following the collapse. So getting there fast is a key thing, and being able to utilize a drone to get there quickly is a cool deal. So with that, that's all I have. Dave, you got any updates from all your various happenings that you're working on?
I'll just mention that we really are wrapping up on the Beyond Visual Line of Sight Aviation Rulemaking Committee. That we've got a final meeting on the 21st of January, and then we deliver the report to the FAA, and hopefully shortly thereafter the report is made public. We'll when that happens, and I've been assured that it will be made public. We will, if that changes, we'll also let you know. But we'll be sure to go through the salient points for us, even though the 99.9% of the focus was commercial. There are some great things in there for 107, and we're optimistic that they can be a positive knock-on effect for recreational. In addition, we mentioned a little earlier the K through 12 aviation topic assigned to the AAC, Advanced Aviation Advisory Committee, which will be presenting on February 23. That's wrapping up. We've got another week or so on that report. I'm on the writing team of that, and Alex is also participating. Thank you, Alex. As I mentioned, as is Vic Moss. And we've put I've re-upped my application to the AAAC, and I've also submitted an application to the drone safety team. Different from the FAA safety team, the drone safety team was called the UAST, and it's being revamped. And as I mentioned, we saw back in June a large chunk of work from the AAAC pass over to the drone safety team. So it looks like that'll be a more technologically heavy group solving problems and coming up with ideas for the FAA. And that's about what I'm working on.
Cool. Alex, you got anything for us?
MultiGP has their global qualifier design contest going on. That ends at the end of January. That'll be narrowed down to 5 tracks. And then they'll have a race to decide, a sim race to decide what's going on, what the qualifier track design is going to be for this year. I've seen a lot of really interesting designs so far. So that's all I can really think of in that corner of the woods.
What's the time? I'm sorry, my mic dropped out and my audio completely dropped out, so I didn't hear all of that. Alex, did you say what the timing of that track competition was? When we'll expect to see?
That'll probably be
tracks?
February. That'll probably be February for track release in March.
Okay.
That was how it was last year.
All right. So Dan will be able to build some of those tracks in the March timeframe in Minnesota. It might be a little chilly then.
And make them out of
that's
snow.
Why the season. That's why the season goes through summer for northern states to have actual sun to race in and not snow on the ground.
Yes.
For those of us in hot states, not so.
That's why it's also early enough in the winter so you can do it when it's cool.
Just
it's
kidding.
all pre-planned.
It's all pre-planned. Cool.
Also,
all right, Dan.
If anyone wants to see the trailer, that just put the link to the trailer in the chat for that Michael Bay film.
Cool. All right, and Dan, you got anything for us, sir?
I don't have anything new, but I was wondering if we could give a quick update on, and maybe a little bit of a backstory of the Beyond Visual Line of Sight, the no spotter waiver that we're trying to work on with the FAA.
So, Alex, you want to take that?
Like, where did that come from? Why are we working on it? And where are we at?
It came from a comment from Jay Merkel during the Droning On After Dark sessions. And basically he said, get a waiver for it, and then have a bunch of people apply for that waiver once you get it. And then maybe if enough people apply, it'll become a rule where we can fly without a spotter.
And so, yeah, he sort of talked about how, like, the waivers for flying at night and flying over people were super popular for Part 107.
Because of all the volume.
And there were so many of them, and that there's never been a problem with it. They used that as a reason to say, hey, look, Part 107 people should be able to just do this without needing a waiver. So the same theory goes for not needing a spotter. Obviously, we all know everyone's flying without one anyway. It's safe. Let's get the FAA to see that. Oh, no, of course none of us do.
And Vic is saying that he's got a waiver application for this too, and we're absolutely working with the DSPA and sharing insight. And one of the things that I've learned about the waiver process is it's not just fill out a form and you get a guarantee approval. You're asking for an approval, and you're being asked how are you going to mitigate the risks, and it's case by case, just as Alex said. So the idea is, once we get something as a recipe that looks viable, then we will share that, and we will encourage people to submit waivers with the motivation, just as we were saying, that this maybe could become an accepted way of doing business, maybe via an advisory circular or even a new rule.
So, Alex, do you have a guess when we might submit our first attempt?
Oh, he's putting you on the clock.
Just a guesstimate, that's all.
Let's say 2022 will apply.
That sounds good.
So for those of you who don't know, Alex is a very busy individual. He's going to college right now for engineering. He's a pretty up and coming drone racer, and he participates in a lot of not only with us but with GATA. So he keeps pretty busy.
Very active in the community. We appreciate it, Alex.
Absolutely. So one of the things about the waiver that we're working on is kind of developing a big first step, right? And it's not an easy process where it's kind of a, build it, submit it, see kind of where it fails, and then kind of go back and start changing some variables in it. And we're starting it out in a way that we feel could be an easier solution, and then trying to build it to adapt to other kind of applications. So
by the time, I guess with what you're saying, what I'd estimate by the time we get one that's viable for most scenarios will probably be about anywhere between 6 and 10 approvals.
And then one of the ways that we are trying to kind of expedite it is kind of build it into a not complete form, but a form that kind of, selects the
Fill in some
options.
blanks.
Yeah, fill in some blanks, and then you need to add in your exact scenario. So the the thing with waivers is they can't be used for a one size fits all. So for an example, these things are often tied to a specific place
Location.
where you want to fly, right? So, those are you're gonna have to take that into account in your individual situation, versus being able to just like form that in, right? But things like selecting your drone, selecting your equipment, that kind of thing, that it can kind of help speed that process. But again, it's going to be a case by case basis. And the goal here is to get the community at large able to submit this type of waiver, and then kind of have it hit a bunch of times, and then obviously be able to report back that, hey, I flew with this waiver, I flew without a spotter, um, obviously with FAA approval, and I didn't have any issues. And once enough of those reports come back where, hey, we did this with no issues, then that's when we can start looking at a rule change, right? So definitely a process behind it, but a process that can lead to maybe some hopeful relaxation of the regulations.
And it's
So.
probably worth
Now,
saying that
what
this is only for Part 107 pilots, because only Part 107 pilots can apply for waivers. So everyone out there should start working on getting your Part 107.
I mean, it's a good deal to get it anyway, because there's there's always a little bit extra that you can do with a Part 107 that you can't do with a recreational. So and obviously it's not, it's a little pricey at first to get it, but it'll last you a couple years. And if you're serious about drones,
recurrence is
it's
free.
definitely a good thing. So, and the recurrent is free. So um definitely a good deal. So all right, so I think that's our update on just about everything. I feel like we've been gone forever, but at the same time, I'm glad to be back, and hopefully we'll have some more updates on some different things the next time around. So
Not a whole lot seemed to have happened in that time frame, unless anybody else has questions, or if they've thought of things that we didn't see. Definitely let us know.
Yeah,
we don't have to be the only ones talking here in this meeting.
No, this is a free for all, guys. I know, there's a culture of podcasts and stuff like this, but feel free to jump in and interrupt anytime. Like, I know I like to talk, but not that much.
And some of those people out there right now are talking and talking and talking, but they're on mute, so we can't hear them. So.
Any questions, comments, concerns, ideas?
What should we be doing in 2022 that we're not doing?
Yeah.
Selling more t-shirts. I'm sure that's what we should be doing.
Oh no, you feel free to jump in if you've got a comment or a question. It doesn't have to be just text. Like, literally.
This isn't a professional broadcast. It's
no,
we're here for the community.
We're not joking.
It'd be nice if we got those views, though.
It would be nice. I would take those in a heartbeat, right? Alex, maybe we can get you on over there.
I don't know about that one.
All right. So with that, I will give you back the rest of your evening, and I hope you guys have a great week. Hopefully, where you are, it's not too cold to fly. Or if you're like Dan, you just brave it anyway and get out there.
Hey, my videos of flying in the cold get more views than any others, so.
I know, it's crazy.
Do it.
There have been a lot of questions about flying, and what do I need? New folks who are new to the hobby, they're like, "Oh, is there any difference at all if I fly in the cold?" And it's like, yeah, you think? So I pointed any number of folks over to your YouTube tips and techniques.
Oh, great! Thanks.
What to do in the cold?
Yeah, so many people when I mentioned like, well, you can fly in the cold, just sit in your car and fly. They're like, what? You can fly from in your car? It's like, yeah, just range is a little bit less, but it's not that bad.
Look at this, meat's
You
flying.
can get one of those transmitter gloves.
Yeah, there's lots of other options.
Yeah, like hippo hands.
But for some people, they just don't even think about it. They're like, I always, go walk down a trail or something to go fly, and they're just like, not even in their head that, oh, I could just fly from wherever I'm parking my car. So I just think of spots where I can park my car. Too. Yeah, it's like it's either too hot, it's too cold, or there's too many mosquitoes eating you alive.
You live in the middle and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, whatever.
Good. Yeah, you just have too much restricted airspace around you. We don't have as much of that.
I can get 20 minutes to any of the major restricted airspaces pretty much.
Negative. Okay, so we got
9,200 feet. Wow, cool.
At negative 15 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's a little chilly.
Ooh.
Yeah, that might be a little cold.
Yeah, when you're trying to do like freestyle, I just can't do it with gloves on at all. So it's got to be bare fingers, and then that means I have to be protected.
Yeah.
Or you could. Well, I did just get the transmitter glove thing. I haven't tried flying with it yet, but
seems a little awkward. But I don't know. I've not tried it, but it seems like it'd be a little awkward. Been sub-zero here for the last couple of weeks. I've been sitting outside.
Like 20 or 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Skyrocketing up.
That's awesome.
It's been too hot here. It hasn't got cold enough yet.
Oh goodness.
Like 30s and 40s.
We actually got over 40 today.
I actually have gone out and flown in the snow. No conformal coating. No anything. Have crashed. Picked the drone up. Kind of brushed the snow off. And then put it back in the air. No issues.
Yep.
It seems like a lot of people have that happen and everything's fine. And then some people, like the first time they land on a one blade of grass that has a piece of dew on it, the whole thing's gone.
I don't recommend it.
I do
not blow up your rigs because of what I've done. Like, I will feel bad. Don't do it. If you're going to go fly out where it's wet, conformal coat.
Where I'm too lazy to conformal coat, I have still done that and have been fine for the most part.
Do you conformal coat
or just do a rough conformal coat and then it protects it enough?
Do you ever do that just because in racing you might be landing in wet grass sometimes or dewy grass or something? Or
usually if I want to fly after it rains or after it snows, the ground's going to be wet.
Mm-hmm.
But that I usually don't have to worry about in racing. Sometimes, well, I guess when you fly in Florida for champs, you do have to worry about like the 5-minute storms that come over or stuff. And sometimes there are races where you'll just fly in the rain if it's light. And I've flown quads that aren't even conformal coated in that just because I just haven't put the effort in.
Did you guys see Nurk's video? Gosh, this is probably about 6 months ago. It completely waterproofed.
That zip block bag kind of thing.
Yeah, with lots of glue and I loved it.
Yeah,
dropping into the snow and into the water. It was great.
That's hilarious. I have to check that out. All right. Well, with that, have a great night, guys. We'll see you in 2 weeks. And hopefully we've got some new stuff to share. So,
absolutely.
And go check out the store. These shirts are pretty cool.
Good shirts.
Absolutely.
100% cotton. Take care.
Shameless plug, guys. Have fun. Have a good night.